Hello, ocean people. Welcome back to Brent Durand Underwater. If you're new to the channel, this is where I share tips and tricks to help you improve your underwater photography and your underwater video. Today, we're going to talk about mistakes that all underwater photographers have made at one point or the other. If you have questions, leave them below because I answer every single question. Mistakes are part of learning. You make mistakes in any sport, any hobby, or any activity. And the way that we get better is by identifying those mistakes and then figuring out how we can improve on them so that we don't make those mistakes again. This is completely true for underwater photography and underwater video. I know that a lot of you, like me, have made these mistakes. I've actually made all of them, probably quite a few times, but we won't go there. But basically, we will call these out so that you can create a mental or a physical checklist to avoid these mistakes in the future and avoid wasting valuable dive time or losing your photos or losing your videos. So let's get going. Mistake number one that every underwater photographer makes is not doing the complete camera check. Ding, ding, ding. I know a lot of you have done this. We get lazy, we just want to jump in the water, and we forget to do the check. But you have to do the check, otherwise you have a high probability of forgetting something. So put the camera inside your housing, turn it on, check that the autofocus works by depressing the autofocus switch. Make sure you see that lens track focus up close, maybe put your hand in front of the lens, and far, the back of the room, the wall, whatever that might be. Make sure that you have an SD card in the camera. Make sure that you have batteries in the camera, that you have batteries in your strobes or your lights, and do that by firing a test shot. So set everything up, turn it on, and fire a couple shots. Make sure that not just one of your strobes fires, but both of them. So look at both, make sure both of those strobes flash, and make sure that that autofocus is working. And also make sure that you have recorded an image to your memory card. Now, I have my camera set not to release the shutter unless the card is in the camera and unlocked, but sometimes your camera will allow you to shoot a frame or think you've shot a frame without a memory card in the camera. And without a memory card, you're of course not recording anything. So be sure that there's a card in your camera or set your camera so that it will not release the shutter without a card. If you have questions on how to do that, leave me a question below and I can leave instructions for your camera. If you don't do the camera check, you're likely to end up on the first dive of a 2-day liveaboard in the water with your lens cap on, and the crew will love teasing you for the rest of those 2 days. Tip number 2 is to always use a dome port cover. Put this on your dome port, whether it's glass, acrylic, or even a flat macro port, always. It's really important when getting out of the water to put that on before your camera goes in a rinse tank with other cameras, or when you're driving home from the beach and your camera is in a cooler bag or a Tupperware to get it home where you can rinse it more thoroughly. You never know when something might drop into that box in your car when you hit the brakes a little harder than you intended and then jiggle against the lens the whole way home and scratch that. Am I still angry about a personal experience? Yes, just a little bit. But bottom line is to use your dome port cover. I oftentimes will carry mine into the water. I will take it off the dome port in the water, put it around my sleeve like this through the dive, or I'll tuck it away in my BCD pocket or clip it to my BCD. Then at the end of the dive during my stop, I will take it out, put the cover on, and only then hand up the camera to the dive crew. This ensures that the port cover is on at all times and that my dome won't get scratched. Mistake number 3 that a lot of photographers make is not listening to the dive site briefing. I see you in the corner not paying attention, talking to your buddy. Yes, this happens all the time. Simply stop the conversation, pay attention to the dive guide because they are giving you information on how to navigate the site and where the best marine life and the best structure is. That is the key to getting good photos. Better yet, try and build some rapport with your dive guide or your instructor through the trip so that they can pull you aside and tell you where the best photo opportunities are. Where is that really cool coral bommy? Where does that nurse shark like to hang out underneath the rocks? Those are the type of things that will help you really identify and find the best shots and will help you know what to look for and plan ahead when you're jumping in to start your dive. Mistake number 4 is not having a vision. Too many people grab their camera, they shoot just because they see something or because the guide pointed it out. That's not the way to get a great photo. So stop, pause, breathe, What photo do I want to create? I'm creating a photo. I'm not just taking a snapshot. Think about it. Figure out the composition, where the lighting should come from. Adjust your settings, adjust your strobes, then move in and start working to capture the image, because that's how you're going to create a nice, thoughtful, well-composed image. Mistake number 5 that underwater photographers make is similar to 4, and that is not reviewing your images in between shooting frames. Now, what you should do is shoot a frame, pause, hit image playback or image review on your camera, which is that triangle button with the little square around it. It's easy to access from your housing, and look at that image. Is the composition what you want? Is the exposure what you want? Is the lighting good and the shadows? Maybe even flip through the histogram screens so that you can really look at that exposure in detail. If you don't know about the histogram, check out my video linked above, all about exposure and how to use your histogram. By doing this and reviewing your images in between each frame, you will identify the mistakes and areas where you want to improve, make those changes, shoot the next frame, and get a better frame. If you don't do this, you're going to make the same mistake for every single shot that you take of that subject, which is kind of pointless. You might as well make one mistake and move on and swim off. But if you're reviewing your images, you will figure out how to improve them and work towards creating your best image of that subject. Mistake number 6 is not checking your strobe positioning before every series of shots. Now, if you've been using strobes for a while, you know that when swimming in a current or swimming hard or even around other divers that might bump you, your strobe could get moved out of position. So if you had it set up perfectly for one shot, swim to the next, and that strobe gets bumped or moved, it's not going to be in the ideal spot for the next shot. If you don't pause and look at your strobes and figure that out, you're going to have backscatter or no light, depending on how the strobe is positioned, right? If it's forward, you might have a lot of backscatter. If it gets knocked away, you're going to have no light from that side. So you want to make sure to identify that, get your strobe back in position before shooting the next series of shots. So it's easy to do. It happens to my strobes all the time, even with correct clamp pressure. So just something to keep an eye on, and a mistake that's so easy not to make when you're paying attention. And finally, mistake number 7 that every underwater photographer makes is packing without a checklist. So be sure to create a checklist, because as underwater photographers, we travel with cords, accessories, chargers, batteries, lenses, cleaning kits, cleaning cloths, microfiber cloths, Q-tips for cleaning, coins for tightening tripod trays, and all sorts of different things, from a headlamp in dark rooms to sunglasses for on the boat, to a hat, to sunscreen, to a swimsuit even. All these things that are so easy to forget when we're packing for our underwater photo trip. So stop in the days before the trip, make sure to write out your list, add and remove things from that list as you look through, as you lay things out to pack, and reference that list on future trips. Be sure to add new gear and remove gear that you've retired and sold so that that list is up to date. And that way you can use it for all your trips and make sure you're not forgetting something critical when you're out there on a remote dive trip and no one else has gear to help you out. So I hope this is useful. I've certainly made a lot of these mistakes. I know a lot of you have as well, but with thinking about these things and creating those physical or mental checklists, we can help eliminate them and make sure to maximize our dive time on the next dive trip. Again, if you have any questions, leave them below, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to check out my other videos. I'll see you in the next one.